Another episode! Again, welcome to the Double Digit Club, people. Episode 10. Smells Like Wrasslin podcast on the Smells Like Cologne network. I am your host, Eric Cologne. Man, what a great show. Lots of great wrestling. Lots of things to talk about. A lot happened in the last 2 weeks. Jeez. We had Triple H's career is over. Scott Hall is dead. We now have Tony Storm signed to AEW. I don't know, man. Lots of crazy shit. It's never really a dull moment in the world of professional wrestling, which is great because it means it's fun all the time. WrestleMania is this weekend. That should be interesting. Supercard of Honor is this Friday, which should also be very interesting. The first Tony Khan Ring of Honor show. So very curious as to how that's going to go down. A lot of different matches on that card. Yeah, Cody signing with WWE. Apparently, I guess he's with WWE. So we'll see if he is going to have a match at Mania. Who is he going to face? There's rumors that Shane McMahon is back in the fold at WWE. He might be the one to face Seth. It could be Cody. Nobody really knows, man. It's all up in the air. So I'm very curious as to what's going on. Before we get started on tonight's Dynamite review, which again, like I said, was a solid show. I have a public plea, a public request. All right, I'm gonna put this on the live show right now. We're only 5 minutes in, I think. So, this message goes out to Jordan. All right, my buddy. This show would be hugely improved if you were to join me as my co-host, that we could go through this journey called professional wrestling together. The two greatest minds in New York podcasting together on one show. I mean, how do you turn down that kind of offer? Jordan is, for those of you who do not know, Jordan is a buddy of mine, and he is quite possibly one of the smartest WWE fans I know. Yes, I know it might sound like an oxymoron, a smart WWE fan, but when I talk to this guy, his booking and the way that he views the industry is just great. And it's a perfect counterbalance to my own. And I feel like we would be able to make magic on this podcast. So I am going to tell him to start this podcast about 5 minutes in, and so that he could hear this plea. And hopefully he will take me up on that offer. And we could do this for the people. All right? It's people power. All right? Granted, I don't think anyone is watching right now at the time of this recording, but that could change. So, there you go. I put it out there. I put it out there into the universe. I cut a promo calling your ass out, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. So tonight on Dynamite, it was a stacked show. The newest free agent to Dynamite will be in action facing the Bunny in the women's qualifier tournament. Spoiler alert, it was Tony Storm in there. So Tony Storm is all elite. They needed that women's division needs Tony Storm. That women's division also needs Ember Moon, and it needs Candice LeRae, and it just needs that talent. That men's roster is stacked. You don't need to sign any more people. Word I think just got out today that they're not renewing Marco Stunt's contract due to budget cuts. Fuck yeah, budget cuts. They got to cut a lot of fucking people. A lot of people in that company just don't need to be there. There's better wrestlers on the program. I mean, listen, I don't, I don't relish in the fact people losing their jobs and their livelihoods. Like, that's a real shitty situation to be in. But, like, Tony isn't running a charity neither. You know what I mean? Like, he signed these guys. They were needed. The company was new and growing. They needed to have a roster to put people on TV, to give the shine to the guys who were actually the stars, to fill up the dark matches, to, give, like younger talent an opportunity to get reps in during Dark and Elevation. Like, I get that, I get that. But, like, they don't need an entire roster of those people. Like, now that he owns Ring of Honor, like, everything is going to get restructured, I feel like. Nothing really Tony really hasn't let the public in really on any of his plans as to what he's going to do at Ring of Honor. So, it's a lot of things are going to change. And to be quite honest, like, Jurassic Express doesn't need Marco Stunt. Jurassic Express really doesn't even need Luchasaurus either. Like, Jungle Boy is the guy that they're going to be pushing forward. Like, he's not going to be a tag team guy. He's going to be a singles guy. He's going to be holding singles titles. You know what I mean? Like, this tag team title run is just it's a test run to see how well he does with gold around his waist. You know what I mean? But, like, he could get into far more interesting storylines as Jungle Boy Jack Perry and not as Luchasaurus' tag team partner. I'm sorry. Now, can Luchasaurus break out and be his own singles wrestler? It's possible. It's possible. They have enough big guys in that roster for him to fight. He's athletic or whatever. He's a character. It's possible. But, like, there are guys that guys like the Workhorsemen, the Wingmen, stuff like that. Like, those guys could, if they left, it's not going to change what's going on Dynamite and on Rampage, because those guys are never on Dynamite and on Rampage. They're on Dark, they're on Elevation, they have way too long of segments in BTE for my liking. I don't know. I just think that it just needs to, that there needs to be a culling. They need to get rid of some people. Like, there are guys, and this is something that I talk with my buddy Jordan about, another plug. There are guys that deserve way better than what they're getting in AEW. Now, an argument can be made that they should be the ones taking spots in the place of certain people. I mean, I guess that depends on who you talk to and depending on whether or not, like, you like you like who you're seeing on television right now. I mean, right now, like, would I like to see a guy like Jay Lethal, like, hold a belt or have, like, a really awesome feud with somebody? Fuck yeah, I would. Absolutely. Jay Lethal's fucking amazing. I just wish, here's what I wish. If they're not holding titles, I want them in worthwhile storylines. It feels like, guys kind of sort of get lost in the shuffle. Like, I'm assuming right now, based on the events of tonight, that Darby is going to continue into some sort of feud with Andrade. I also think that, by the way this is shaping up, this might end up being a blood and guts match, which would end up being pretty great because you got guys like Private Party, you got guys like the Hardys, you got guys like Darby that could take the big bumps in that match. You got guys like Sting who, you could definitely protect in a match like that when, like, he could be throwing guys into the cage and doing this and doing that, and he could no-sell shit. Like, I could see that possibly being the next Blood and Guts match because of the amount of people that are involved. But it's like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough to book that. Like, and an argument could also be made, like, what's going on with Hangman's title reign. I feel like Hangman's title reign, like, I feel bad because it started off so hot. There was nowhere else it was going to go but getting cooled off. You know what I mean? Like, the first guy he fought was Kenny fucking Omega. The second guy he fought was Bryan fucking Danielson. Twice. Once was a draw. The other one was a freaking, like, hour-long freaking SmackDown bloodfest. You know what I mean? Like, after that, like, what more were you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, they had him up against, like, a big monster, which was Lance Archer. Like, you gotta put, like, your hero against, like, a big guy. The problem is like, Lance Archer wasn't really built up a lot. Like, he kind of just came in, whooped ass, and they gave him a title shot. He fought Dante Martin, which was almost it was really forgettable. The match was about, like, 5 minutes long in a completely unnecessary match. Like, all of a sudden Dante Martin was, like, the number one contender. I'm like, all right. he fought Adam Cole, which I felt like Adam Cole deserved to be in a really good feud that had nothing to do with the title. Like, Adam Cole could have gotten to a feud with, like, Eddie Kingston, and Eddie could have taken the loss, no big deal, and Adam Cole could have won, and it would have been a big deal for Adam Cole. There were a lot of, maybe Adam Cole he could have fought fucking Darby, and Darby could have taken the loss, and it would have put over Adam Cole. Like, Darby's big enough that he could take losses. Like, he took a loss tonight to Andrade. I would have rather him taking a loss to a guy like Adam fucking Cole than Andrade. But, hey, Andrade needed the win. Him beating a guy like Darby, like, gives him a little bit more clout. You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-way street. Darby could take the loss. Andrade needed the win against somebody who was actually established and who people actually gave a shit about. Yeah, it wasn't like a clean finish, but, like, he got the pin. So, like, it's just there. I've said this before. I will say it again. I understand people's gripes with AEW. I understand that a lot of storylines, like a lot of people who deserve to be in really good storylines aren't in any. I know, like, guys like the House of Black, people are like, what the fuck's going on with them? Like, like they had Malachi Black come in. He fought high profile matches with Cody, won a couple, lost one. Then he was just doing whatever. He's just in that kind of mid-card shuffle. But, like, a lot of spotlight was on him because Brody King came and, Buddy Matthews came. Like, I do think that they've set the deck up for a trios division. They're just, I don't know, they're waiting on, are they really waiting on Kenny Omega to start this trios division? Like, it's not good to put the pause on shit. Okay, listen, I don't know how I have no inside track. I'm just a guy who watches the show and these are my opinions. You know what I mean? But, like, let's think of a hypothetical here. Let's say for the fact that, yes, indeed, Tony Khan is holding off on a trios tournament or division because he has big plans for Kenny Omega and the Bucks in that particular division. Or maybe, whether they're going to win the titles, whether they're going to be they're going to be involved in the finals of maybe a tournament. Maybe they're going to be the ones actually vying for that title with one other team. I just know that, like, the time to pull the trigger for that is now, not later, now. The problem is right now is, like, with these two tournaments going on between with the men and the women and the Owen Hart tournament, like, there's not a lot of room to introduce another title. You know what I mean? So I would assume that they're going to do the qualifying matches from March until May, or maybe March until the end of April, okay? The tournament is going to start in Long Island, May 11th, all right? So let's say the tournament goes like 2 months. That's 8 episodes of Dynamite and 8 episodes of Rampage. I think that's plenty of TV time to get all those matches out of the way, I think. That would leave time in, like, the middle of the summer. So let's say May, June, July. That leaves, like, July, August. They could do a trios tournament that ends at All Out. You know what I mean? If All Out is going to be in, like, September again, like it was this past year, that's like 5, and there aren't a lot of trios teams, you know what I mean? Like, you could get these matches out pretty quick, so they don't need as much time as the Owen Hart tournament, but, like, now's the time. Like, they need to introduce these belts. Like, there are guys that are just being wasted, and an introduction of belts means a new storyline is introduced that more people could get involved in. They could play more, they could make matches with the rankings, they could make feud matches, like, stuff needs to happen. Now, again, I'm going to say they just don't have enough TV time to give everyone in the roster a shine. And when you have a roster that's filled with so much talent, it's going to be weird seeing, like, guys who are very talented who you could make a very strong argument should be in a title picture or at least hold the title, may not be. They might be on Dark. They might be on Elevation. They might be opening up the shows. They might be in matches where they're taking losses to give another guy the rub. Like, you know, it's just a different problem. Like WWE has so much TV time and they have so much talent, but they only focus energy on like 1 to 2 storylines at a time. Like AEW, like there's just not enough. There's just not enough TV time to make the best storylines with all the people that you need. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they could create better trio storylines than they are in the tag team division right now. I don't know, but there's like I'm hoping that with the introduction of ROH, it gives a lot of guys that are there that are not getting the time and attention that they deserve on AEW television, the time and attention they deserve in Ring of Honor. Now, how Ring of Honor is going to be launched and how that is meant for us to measure it up between Dynamite and Rampage and the AEW shows, that remains to be seen. There's a lot of talk of it becoming like a developmental. There's a lot of talk about it becoming a supposed equal to the other two shows. Like, why make, you know, like, what's the bad thing with having two great promotions, you know? If it means that there's another venue for stories to be told and people to be developed and titles to be won and carried, I am all for, yeah, exactly, Richie. We had a show tonight that had 3 factions jumping one another. Make the fucking trios belts. You know what I mean? But, like, I'm hoping that ROH opens it up and we start seeing people vie for those belts. I think the point is that if you're going to pull people from AEW and integrate them into the ROH roster, it's meant to make those storylines a big deal, since technically, until someone says otherwise, AEW shows are the A shows. So, I don't know, but I agree with people who say that there's a problem with AEW. There's definitely a problem with AEW. It's just that their roster is too big and they just don't have enough TV time. I definitely think that a lot of people's contracts are not going to be renewed. I think Tony's going to make good on the contracts that he had signed for people. If he signs you for 3 years, you're going to be on there for 3 years. Unless you want to release, he's going to fucking release you. Like, I don't think there's anybody who has asked for their release that didn't get one. Whoever wanted it got it. Like, what the heck was her name? Kylie Ray. Isn't she in like NWA right now? She wants to go? Bye. Gone. No muss, no fuss. They, you know, like they released her. So, you know, I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think that he's going to, if people want to stay in their contracts and get paid, they're going to stay in their contracts and get paid and work from home. Their contracts open up the opportunity that they could work anywhere else. So if they're not being used on television, then like there's no reason why they, like, you know, Thunder Rosa's the AEW Women's Champion. Like, she wrestles more than any of those women on a regular basis. Like, her and Statlander, I think, and they're like out there on the indies, like doing fucking work. You know what I mean? So like, I guess like you have to put things in perspective. Someone with an AEW contract is not the same as someone with a WWE contract. If you're in a WWE contract and you're not being used on TV and you're sitting at home, you're not doing shit. You're like, via your contract, you're not allowed to do fucking anything without their say-so. You can't have a Twitch. You can't do nothing. At least with the people in AEW, like, if you're not being used on TV, Tony Khan's not saying, hey, there's no reason. I'm not preventing you from making more of a living. You know, I'm going to honor the contract. You're going to get paid, whatever. But, like, if you want to go into the indies and work, go into the indies and work. And you know what? To be quite honest, like, if a lot of people have gone to the indies and gotten themselves over. Cody Rhodes went to the indies, got himself over. You know, Zack Ryder, he reinvented himself, got himself over in the indies. So, like, when people are complaining, like, oh, I'm a guy who's over, you know, I should be on TV in AEW. If you're a guy who could get over on AEW television, there's no reason why you can't be a guy that could get over anywhere else that AEW allows you to wrestle. And if people start talking and you're getting yourself over, then there's going to be an outcry for you to be on TV. But the last time I checked, like, no one's, like, lining up at the door to see, like, Brian Cage, like, wrestle. I'm sorry. No one's lining up to the doors to see Marco Stunt wrestle. No one's lining up to the doors to see the Wingmen wrestle. You know? No one's lining up to see the Librarian wrestle. You know? So, but I like the fact, you know, they're pushing Marina Shafir. She's been really solid on Dark and Elevation. Another thing about actually Dark and Elevation, the problem I have sometimes with people who are getting title matches and people who are like number one contenders is the problem is like they're fighting nobodies and they're fighting on YouTube television, right? So like when all of a sudden someone shows up on TV and they're a number one contender, I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? I thought all the important people are the people that I'm watching on TNT and TBS. So who could they have possibly have beaten that I feel that should like just make them deserve a title shot. Like build up your wins on Dark and Elevation, fine, but build up like your actual clout in your ranking to like get yourself into a title match, like on actual television. Those teams should be having matches on Dark and on Rampage and on Dynamite, and they should be getting wins in front of an audience, in front of people, in front of television people, in front of a live audience, so that people could say, hey, these guys are winners. They're beating guys who are good enough to be on TV. These are guys who I should take seriously as champions. But when you throw Dante Martin out of nowhere as a number one contender to fight Heyman and Adam Page, why should I care? Why should I care? And if I don't care about the match, I'm not emotionally invested. If I'm not emotionally invested, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to really pay attention. I'm not really going to care. It's not going to be a match that's going to I'm not going to be really necessarily be promoting that match. And that's what Tony Khan needs to be doing. He needs to be converting people into people who are going to promote the brand and promote matches. Oh my God, you got to watch AEW television, watch this match. You know how many people I told about that CM Punk and Dax Harwood match? Every wrestling fan I knew. I was like, you got to watch this fucking match. That was a match that was good enough to turn me into a promoter for AEW, to promote their brand, to promote their show, to promote their wrestling. But if I don't give a shit about a match, I'm not going to promote it. And if I'm not going to give a shit about the challenger, why should I give a shit about who the champion's actually fighting? So when you build guys up like Dante Martin, like when Dante Martin was like getting his wins, like he was getting the bulk of those wins on Dark and Elevation. Like, yeah, he has wins on television, but like he wasn't stringing up like a lot of wins on TV at the time when they gave him the title shot. You know what I mean? Silver and Reynolds, they were number one contenders. They haven't beaten anyone on television. They've been beating people on Dark and Elevation. If you're going to make these guys title contenders, then they should be deserving enough for television time and popular enough that they're going to not be a waste of time on television when they have their matches building up to their title match. And they're going to have a great title match, and the champion's going to put them over, and they're going to put over the champion, and everybody's happy until they're ready to actually win the belts. But enough with these wins and shit on Dark and Elevation. Like, I want to care more about these challengers, and to make them care more, you have to put them on the television programs that you deem to me are the most important. Because no one can tell me right now that with a straight face that Dark and Elevation are just as important as Rampage and Dynamite, because they're not. They're the closest thing that AEW has to developmental. And it's also a crutch for the rating system. Now, I understand, like, listen, every promotion out there, they have their ratings, but there are money fights. That's why guys like Conor McGregor and shit, they fight like number 6 contenders, number 5 contenders, because they could be guys who are either A, like very popular with the crowd and they're building up a streak, or it could be a grudge match. They said some shit on Twitter and it caught flame and it went viral. You know what I mean? Like you know, like if they're going to have a match that has nothing to do with the rankings, then make it a fucking blood feud. Give me a reason as to why the champion would be like, listen, I will put my fucking title on the line and I will whoop that ass. Like, that's the shit I'm talking about. Like, if someone's not going to, like, be a number 1 contender in the rankings, then it should be someone that the champion, that it should be, there should be such a strong hatred between the challenger and the champion to add that little, you know, to be like, yeah, you know, he's going to be like, fuck the rankings. I'm not looking for number 1 contender. I'm going to whoop your ass. And I'm so confident I can whoop your ass. I'm going to put the title belt on the line. That's what I would do. And hey, listen, or you could use the rankings to build up a guy, putting together a streak of wins. The same way that they're promoting Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill 30-0. They're promoting her record, to promote her rank, to promote her championship. You know what I mean? So building a guy up through the rankings, but build them up on television. You know, build them up on television, build them up through the rankings, and then you can make like ranked number 1 contender matches. You know what I mean? And they should be built as a threat. You should see, like, this should, like, a guy being built up in the rankings, you should be seeing, like, whoa, he, you know, they should be saying, like, this guy has an eye for the AEW title. Like, this guy is a threat. Look at him just demolish people. You know what I mean? He should be crushing people on fucking Dark and Elevation. And then he should be still winning in impressive fashion, but, like, actually selling and, like, getting some heat. You know what I mean? So, like, on television, like, so that way, like, he's not being built, unless you want to build up this one particular guy as, like, an unbeatable guy and as a threat to the champion. Like, he should be demolishing people on Dark and Elevation. You should be having him sell a little bit on Rampage and Dynamite, and then once he's gone through that entire whatever, then he's ready for the belt. That should be the journey of any guy who is not in some sort of blood feud with the champ. Otherwise, like, don't give me just overinflated bullshit rankings and expect me to care that they're the number one contender. That's not going to happen. I'm not an idiot. Feel bad for Triple H, man. That's a real bummer. You know, I wasn't too much. I wasn't a hardcore fan during the Attitude Era. I know. I definitely was in the Monday Night Wars, mostly watching WCW big time. I was a huge Sting fan. Still am. Watching him, like, come down on the Raptors, seeing which one of the freaking members of the NWO he's going to mug was, like, the reason why he turned into Nitro each week, because you never know when he was going to show up. I felt the ending of Starrcade 97, I think, was just, like, so flat. It kind of killed the mojo for me. Like, I don't understand why Sting had to take the pin. Then Bret Hart comes out of nowhere, says it was a fast count. And then they just decide to restart the match. Bret Hart makes himself the referee. Scorpion Death Drop, a couple splashes, that's it. Sting wins. Like, I just don't understand why Hogan had to pin him in the first place. So it kind of, like, ruined that whole moment for me. You know what I mean? What was I saying? So, like, I really wasn't too much into the Monday Night, like, I wasn't really too much into, like, the, you know, like, the WWE side of the Monday Night Wars. I was really much watching WCW, but that's where obviously Triple H, you know, came to fame and, you know, started to accumulate his stardom and his popularity. The 2-man power trip with him and Austin, the feuds he had with The Rock when he was, it was all the Helmsleys and the McMahon family, you know, feuding against The Rock and Austin and Mankind and all that shit. So, you know, obviously I'm really going to be, like, the more important part of his legacy to me was what he did with NXT for 5, 6, 7 years. I don't even know how long. It was a while. I started watching NXT at TakeOver Arrival and just kept on going after that. So that was definitely, you know, almost like 10 years, I guess. Oh yeah, Bulletproof. Yeah, Jimmy Havoc, gone. I thought he was already gone. He's been gone. They kicked him out. Or, like, they sent him to get help, and I think they're just never going to renew his contract, and we're never going to see him again. But you know, the stuff that he did with NXT was awesome. Now, the problem with this was, that brand got too big for what its purpose was. You know what I mean? Like, it was meant, they had structured it that you debut, you have some matches, you have some feuds, we build you up to a title win, you win the title, you hold on to the title, you lose the title to the next guy, and you go to the main roster. So there weren't very many 2-time champions in NXT. There was pretty much, I think FTR was 2-time champions. I think Ciampa was definitely a multi-time champion of the NXT title. I think Samoa Joe was. I think Shinsuke Nakamura was. Finn Balor was. But a lot of these guys that I mentioned, they didn't win their second titles until recently, when like NXT actually became its own brand. But back then, during those NXT TakeOver Arrival, TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, TakeOver, you know, like the beginnings of the takeovers, they were in a setup where if you were the champ and you lost because you graduated. You were graduating, you're finishing school at the Performance Center, and they had built up your character enough, and they had built up enough steam that we were going to, now that we have this fattened calf, we were going to use it and sacrifice it on the main roster to Vince. All right? That is not a true promotion. That's actually developmental. So as even though everyone was calling, you know, NXT their, you know, like the third brand, it wasn't treated like a brand. It was treated like a developmental. Their champs were just leaving. Like, what kind of brand do you know of that some guy wins the championship, has a run, loses it, and you never see him again? You know? Like, Finn Balor held on to that title for a while. Like, there were guys who held on to the NXT title for a long-ass fucking time. And then they just lost and they what? They just vanished? Come on. That's not a brand. That's developmental. All right? So eventually that brand just got... Eventually, I kind of felt like it was like a traffic jam, you know? People got good. People left. And then eventually the main roster just started getting more and more filled. More and more filled. And Vince would just bring up a whole fuck ton of guys from the NXT roster whenever like the ratings were slow, just to give it a little bit of a boost. They would, you know, they'd be like, oh my God, they're there. And then they would get beaten like a drum. And that was pretty much it. You know what I mean? So like, but like NXT, if they really treated it like a brand and it stayed on the network and it never competed with AEW and they kept the guys they kept on signing and like maybe made it like an hour and a half show on the network, because, you know, by the time, let's say they just kept on signing guys and they never went up to the main roster, right? Let's just make that like a theory. All right. No way you could have an hour show on the network and it would be enough for that roster. They would be running into the same problem that AEW is having, and their fans would be giving the same gripes. I would have had to extend it to an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think it might be pretty tough because it's almost like you're booking a pay-per-view a week. But I mean, if you could book like if WWE, you know, tries to book 5 hours of programming a week, I think like NXT is a separate brand and its own separate bookers could do 2 hours a week, definitely. I think that was a thing. Like, they tried to make a developmental brand. They never knew how to structure it as a brand. It ended up, and listen, like, AEW was the shiny new toy. It was something free of Vince McMahon. Vince built up enough animosity with the fans that they literally ended up creating that created the fan base of AEW. I mean, like, talk to, like, you know, like a lot of people just like, you know, will say that, you know, AEW fans are pretty salty. Yeah, I think AEW fans are pretty salty. But you want to know why? The majority of them are disgruntled from WWE. So like they are going to be salty because they're like, finally they got what they want. Finally there's a booker that, like, you know, like, listen, like I said, they're not perfect, and no, you're not going to get everything you want. But I'm telling you right now, I feel a lot more satisfied as a fan watching AEW shows than I do watching anything from WWE. I feel like WWE purposely pulls the rug out from under me as a cheap trick to trying to get me to watch each week, thinking like they're just going to pull the carrot and pull the carrot and pull the carrot. You know what I mean? Like, it's already old hat, you know? And then it's to the point where, like, they pull the carrot so much that by the time the carrot comes to you, it's rotten. It's rotten or it's half eaten by something else, time or just lack of interest. So it's like, yeah. So like a lot of the AEW fan base are pretty much people who left, who were NXT fans, who loved NXT, who probably watched NXT over watching Raw and SmackDown, and literally were as soon as there was an alternative, they were begging for an alternative, and as soon as an alternative was presented to them, they left. All they wanted, all AEW needed was that TNT contract was what made AEW, period. The second they were on TNT, they were legitimized. They were on actual television that people could watch. Nothing like Access, nothing like any of this, like, you know, Sinclair, any of those, like, weird-ass fucking channels that nobody has. I have YouTube TV. I can't even get, I can't get Ring of Honor, and I can't get New Japan. I have to sign up for New Japan World, and Ring of Honor, I don't know. I don't know how Tony's going to try and get Ring of Honor, like, make it more accessible to me so I could watch it, all right? I'm not here to play with my fucking food. You know, like, I'm sorry, like, just like NXT just hit a point and they were put into a position that they were destined to fail in. Like, there were no way were they going to hold up against the new kid on the block, AEW, just because it was the new shiny thing. And it was and it wasn't Vince. That was it. All AEW needed to be even moderately successful was not be Vince. That's pretty much it. So, you know, it was just a shame what happened to NXT. Like, it literally was great all the way up until they went live on USA. I mean, they hotshot booked like the first 3 shows. Like, they put all these big title matches. I think they had fucking Keith Lee win, like, right off the jump. Or no. Or maybe. I'm not sure. It might have been. But it didn't help that NXT was still at Full Sail with those horrible fucking Full Sail fans. If they were gonna put them on, to be honest, if they were gonna put them on TV and treat them like a big boy brand, then they should have put them on tour. WWE is not hard enough for cash that they couldn't tour with 3 brands. They have enough money to tour with 3 brands. Now, I wouldn't have done house shows. I would have toured NXT like AEW tours. Like the only shows, there's no house shows. The only shows that are out there are the pay-per-views and the television programs. That's it. They have their dark matches, but that would have been it. That's the only way, because NXT with that Full Sail crowd, like, it's just not the same. It doesn't feel like AEW felt like a real brand. It felt like another, like I guess you want to say, you could say it was another, WWE, because it was another wrestling program that filled up arenas that was on national television. Why would NXT be the exception to the rule? Every other successful promotion that's on television right now is in front of an arena, but NXT was going to be in front of, 250 people every week? Come on. They didn't want to freaking pull the trigger on it all the way. I'm telling you, it's unfortunate how screwed they were. But, when I look back on Triple H's career, I'm thankful for fucking NXT. To be honest, NXT, say what you will about AEW, but in my opinion, there is no AEW. There will never be an AEW without NXT. I think NXT put a spotlight on, because they signed so many guys from the indies. I think NXT inadvertently put a bigger spotlight on the indies that was previously there. I mean, I started getting into Ring of Honor and New Japan because of NXT. I was like, yo, where are these guys? Why do people know their names? Why is the crowd acting like they know these guys? What's the big deal? My buddies would be like, oh, well, that guy used to be in Ring of Honor. I'm like, well, what's Ring of Honor? You mentioned, this is 3-4 guys you've told me have come from this place. Where's this place? Why haven't I heard of it? Then I go start watching Ring of Honor. Then I start paying tickets to go to their shows. And before I know it, I'm with my buddy at Final Battle every year. New Japan. I was just like, yo, who are these guys? Who's this guy Finn Balor? They keep on telling me he's the Prince. So, what's going on? Oh, he was in New Japan. Oh, what's New Japan? Oh, it's this wrestling thing. Oh, a lot of these guys are coming here. This guy Shinsuke Nakamura. They said he's from New Japan. They're like, yeah, you should watch. Before I know it, I was at my buddy's house. We're all hanging out watching Wrestle Kingdom. This is before they had the English translators on there. So, I'm thankful for NXT because it got me into the indie scene. It opened up my horizons in wrestling, and I began to watch more wrestling outside of the WWE umbrella. Because to be honest, I thought when WWE was over, I thought that was it. There's the only other wrestling places that are out there are small things that show up at carnivals, and that was pretty much it. But boy, was I mistaken. And luckily, the internet was a big enough platform. It was a global platform that's cheap. That, granted, it doesn't have the notoriety of television, nor does it have the big money deals, but, it's a way to get your whatever out there. So, it's just a shame that, in the latter half of Triple H's career, it was just filled with so much bullshit. You know what I mean? NXT losing in the ratings war, then it totally getting, revamped, and Vince and Bruce Pritchard take over. A lot of his guys in NXT either left to go to AEW and they end up becoming successful, or they ended up just getting squandered and wasted on the main roster. That was the last 5 years of Triple H's career. You know what I mean? But listen, he obviously proved to all of us that he's got a good mind for the business, and he surrounded himself with a lot of smart people, and he put together a really good team that put together a very good product that was consistently good for several years. It just got too big for the pot that it was growing in, and Papa Tony was willing to give enough money to not try and plant a redwood tree in a household pot. He planted that bitch in a field, and it took roots, and it was able to grow. And that's what AEW is right now. It's definitely, it's there. It's not going anywhere. But, enough with that. That's all my pretty much thoughts on wrestling for the week. Let's get into the Dynamite review. So the show starts off with Punk coming out. Max Caster did a rap, which was great, talking about shitting himself, eating Z-Packs and Will Smith and all that bullshit. That was pretty funny. CM Punk defeated Max Caster. I believe it was supposed to be Anthony Bowens, but Bowens was injured, so they swapped him out with Caster. I love Anthony Bowens. He's a fantastic wrestler. And if what I read was true, I hope he gets better. I mean, he was moving pretty spry in the to the ramp, so I don't know what kind of injury he could have had, or maybe I was wrong entirely and it was Max Caster all along. Who fucking knows? Punk won, and he's been signaling the last couple of weeks. He's been doing, the discount double check sign. He wants the title. And he kind of put out there that it's either going to be, he's like, I don't care who it is, whether or not it's Adam Cole or Adam Page. And I just thought it was interesting that, like, they haven't really announced any rematch between Cole and Page, but I guess, guess they are because Punk said so. So, I am very curious whether or not Punk will win the title. I don't think anyone would mind him winning the belt. He's been on a fantastic run. Him winning the belt would be a big deal. It will definitely bring him viewers. He's probably like one of the main ratings draws on AEW right now. And I think that MJF should be the guy to take the belt from him. Like, the third match they should have Punk hold on to the belt for the whole summer. He should drop the belt, and they'll most likely have All Out in Chicago again. And that'll mean that Punk defends it against MJF in the tournament and loses and beats CM Punk in his hometown and wins the belt. Because he did say that the third match he was gonna be the most embarrassing loss of his career. And I think Punk dropping the AEW title in his hometown to a fucking piece of shit like MJF would be pretty fucking embarrassing. So, I definitely think that might be the way to go. I mean, listen, Hangman's had, like I said, Hangman has been the victim of there just not being any real contenders built up for him. You know what I mean? They threw Lance Archer in out of nowhere. They had Adam Cole. He had 6 matches won, and they made him number 1 contender and gave him a title shot. Now he's feuding with them again. He's feuding with Hangman again, and they're just continuing this. So I guess he's going to get another shot at Battle of the Belts that's coming in the next week or so. And then after that, I guess it's the build Punk and Hangman for, I don't know. I mean, it's a really long time until Double or Nothing, right? Double or Nothing isn't until May, right? Someone in the chat tell me when Double or Nothing is. But anywho. So yeah, I guess Punk's going for the title. You got MJF and FTR backstage. Mark Sterling's posting pictures of Wardlow saying, he's not allowed in the building. The cracks begin to start forming full on with the Pinnacle. FTR obviously going babyface. It looks like they're going to set him up with Bret Hart. I have a strong feeling that they are going to win the Ring of Honor tag team titles from the Briscoes this Friday. It would and I think that Bret Hart I think that they should debut Bret Hart at Ring of Honor. It would be a pull for the show. It's a draw for FTR. It makes them a big deal. They win the belts. They hit their full face with Bret Hart, who everybody loves. I think it would be pretty awesome. I don't know what that means for guys like the Briscoes. I think they're an awesome tag team. I really hope that one tweet doesn't blackball them from the business for the rest of their lives. I think that's fucking unfair. It's May 25th. All right. So if Double or Nothing is May 25th, that's right in the middle of the Owen Hart tournament. May 30th? God damn. All right. So if Punk is actually going to go for the title, let's say Adam Cole and Adam Page have their rematch at Battle of the Belts. That's within the next 2 weeks. That means we're talking about April. So, oh yeah, that's a decent build. I don't know. Do you guys think a 6 or 7 week build for Punk and Hangman until for Double or Nothing? You think that's enough time? I think that's enough time. I think they could pull that off. I think they could definitely pull that off. I mean, Hangman, yeah, I think they could pull that off. I think they could do it. And I think Punk winning at Double or Nothing would be great. And then you could do Summer of Punk. And you could just have him fight whoever. You could have him fucking fight Danielson. That would be fucking awesome. Punk versus Danielson for the title. You could do that shit. You could do a lot of great things with Punk with the belt. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it looks like right now, I mean, they had, oh, that didn't happen yet. But you know, this is definitely right now the stuff that's going on with the Pinnacle. Like, the Pinnacle's done. The only thing that, like, you're going to have MJF, and he's going to have his new fucking lackey, which is going to be, like, his new Wardlow is going to be Shawn Spears, except it's not going to be a guy who's a monster. It's going to be a guy who's fucking rascal. So that's pretty much it. And MJF tried to bury Wardlow with FTR, saying that, like, listen, Wardlow talked a lot of shit about you guys. So we'll see. In the first of a lot of great matches tonight, Jon Moxley beats Jay Lethal. This is fucking awesome. Jay Lethal is the fucking man, all right? He is one of those people that's on my list as a guy who needs to be doing something way more than what he's doing right now. All right, but I'm glad that Jay Lethal's with AEW. It means that there's opportunity for him, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the future. Like, he's just so good. He's good at everything. Like, the match he had with Ricky Starks, awesome. I need to see him in a match with, like, Swerve Strickland, if that hasn't happened already. That's going to be awesome. Like, Jay Lethal's the fucking man. I love Jay Lethal. Give him a belt. Give him all the belts. Give him TV time. That man is not a waste of television time, period. Whether on the mic or in the ring, Jay Lethal is the fucking man. Great match with Moxley. I've been like, you know, like, ever since Moxley's been back from rehab, he's been having great fucking matches. At the end, you know, obviously Moxley wins. They shake hands, you know, all cool. Is Lethal going to be a potential new signee to the Blackpool Combat Club? Oh, another thing I forgot to mention, fucking William Regal. He's back. He's leading. It looks like a faction because Mox and Danielson have been fighting in singles matches, so they're not just a tag team. I guess this is a faction now. It's been fantastic with Regal there with the two of them. I'm curious to see how that's going to evolve and grow. But seeing the matches that those two are having right now in the tag division and seeing the matches that they're having right now as singles competitors, I'm loving every second of it. MJF joins commentary for the FTR versus the Gun Club match. FTR wins in a great match. Obviously, the crowd chants "Ass Boys" at the Gun Club. Eventually, I think of this potential trios division, it's going to be Danhausen and the Ass Boys. Like, if you don't think that there's potential for a trios team of Danhausen and the Ass Boys, I mean, come on. That's money right there. And they'd be underdog enough that you could see them getting a big enough push that there's clout for them to, like, do some fun stuff. After the match, FTR kind of, Wardlow tried to, he shows up at the arena, beats the shit out of like 1,000 security guards, gets stopped right when he gets to the ringside seats and they cart him off. This is like right towards the end of the FTR match. FTR ends up in turn getting pissed off at MGF, who comes into the ring to congratulate them after the match. Congratulates them, and basically, like, they're just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I told you, like, we don't want your problems or getting involved with our business, and it's not, like, our business, not Pinnacle business. Like, that's Mac's business, you know what I mean? So, it definitely looks like FTR is going to break away from the Pinnacle. Now, whether or not Max inadvertently cost them the ROH belts, or maybe cost them the AAA belts, and now it goes on a thing where Max is like, well, I'm going to stab you in the back first before you guys stab me in the back because Wardlow already got the one up on him. I mean, that's possible. That's also possible. They had a video promo for Powerhouse Hobbs versus Keith Lee on Rampage. Big meaty men bumping meat. I can't wait. Two fucking big hosses going to beat the shit out of each other. Obviously, Keith Lee is going to win. I think this is the time to showcase Keith Lee. Now it's the time for people to Keith Lee to show what he could do. He has great matches with other big men. The matches that he had in NXT with Donovan Dijakovic were fucking phenomenal. Hobbs has been improving week after week. He's a phenomenal wrestler. He would work really well with Keith Lee. I think Rampage is going to be fantastic. That's obviously going on live right now as we speak. We won't know what happens until Friday. So I'm assuming that already sounds to me like it's going to be a banger match. Chris Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation Society were backstage. They basically put themselves over as sports entertainers, and everyone wants to join. Everyone else could GFY. I fucking hate GFY. You're a grown-ass man. No grown-ass man says GFY. And they say, go fuck yourself. I don't understand why they just can't censor him saying the word fuck. I mean, if you can't say fuck on television, fine. You fucking censor it then. They've been doing this thing all week. Like the last couple of weeks since they created the JAS, that they would look at the curtains to see if there was anyone there, saying that that they got rid of Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. But this week they pulled open the curtains and they got their asses whooped. But unfortunately, there was just too many people in the JAS to fight. It was like a 5-on-3. They ended up getting their asses handed to them, both Santana Ortiz and Kingston. By the end of all this, they got laid out in the ring. So obviously, this is something that's going to keep on going on. I don't know who is going to be teaming up with Santana Ortiz and Kingston to even the odds. I don't know where this is heading, but, anything with Kingston and Jericho is gold. So, we'll see what happens. After that, we got Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling backstage. Mark Sterling says they decided on Jade's 30th opponent. They said it was Leva Bates. Jade said, fuck this shit. And Sterling said the other option was Marina Shafir. But he didn't sound like, he kind of sounded a little bit worried about it. And Jade was a little bit pissed off. So she says she's going to beat the shit out of her. They've been building up Marina Shafir again on Dark and Elevation. I think she's at one match or two on either Dynamite or Rampage. Wife of Roderick Strong, member of the MMA version of the Four Horsewomen with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And I forgot the name of the other girl, but she was in NXT. Jessamine Duke. So, they even cut a video package from Marina Shafir, like building her up as someone important. So, like, do I think she's going to take the title from Jade? No. That's pretty much it. Let's see. William Regal joins commentary for Bryan Danielson versus Wheeler Yuta. Yuta was actually getting Yuta chance in the middle of a Danielson match. So, like, if that's happening, like, you're doing a good job, kid. This match was fucking fantastic. They did some great technical wrestling to start off. They did, a lot of spots where Danielson's just beating the shit out of him, and Yuta's, trying to prove himself, saying he could take it. By the end of the match, he fucking spit in Danielson's face before Danielson kicked his head in and then put him in the label lock and basically, just choked the living hell out of him. Regal said he was very impressed on commentary, so it does kind of seem like Wheeler Yuta left the best friends. So I am curious as to whether or not he's going to be the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club, but, we will see. They did a video package hyping up Darby Allin versus Andrade in the main event for tonight. Adam Cole and Red Dragon came out. They are now referring to themselves as the Undisputed Elite. I mean, they should 100% do that. Use the fact that these are the three guys who are the Undisputed Era. Use the fact that Undisputed Elite and Undisputed Era have the same letters. They could still be the UE. They still have the same guys. You could still do the same fucking run. Do I think they're going to give Adam Cole and Red Dragon the belts right now? No. With CM Punk looking to take the world title belt, there's no point in putting the belt on Adam Cole just so he could drop it to CM Punk a couple of weeks later. Excuse me. Long work day. So I do think that, like, the trios titles are another thing that could be in the future for the Undisputed Elite, so we'll see what happens. They basically say all this shit saying that we deserve the belts. Hangman and Jurassic Express suck. Hangman and Jurassic Express end up coming out with Christian Cage. They beat the shit out of all of them, and they take their belts back. So obviously, Battle of the Belts 2 is coming, so I assume it's going to be Cole versus Hangman 2. I think, obviously, Hangman's going to win again, because, like I said, I don't think that they're going to give the belt to Cole just so he could drop it to Punk. Even though I do... Yeah, it's not going to happen. Thunder Rosa comes out. She finally has a promo that doesn't get cut short. She touted the fact that she's the first ever Mexican-born world champion in history. She said that she's calling out Nyla Rose. Basically wants to know whether or not, like, she's gonna talk or Vicky's gonna dumb shit down for her. I think this was what we should have heard last week. Like, seeing Thunder Rosa getting her ass beat like a week after she won the title was not really cool. So whatever. FTR was backstage. They said that they're going to win the ROH tag titles on Friday. Then they called out the Young Bucks for FTR versus Young Bucks 2. Looks like that's going to happen. I mean, obviously, I think FTR should win because the Bucks won their first meeting. I think FTR is due. They're due to go on a monster run. They're one of the best tag teams in wrestling, if not the best tag team in wrestling. And if anyone deserves any sort of tag team belts, it's FTR. So here's to hoping that this is all leading towards more tag team gold for the top guys. Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Qualifier. The debuting Toni Storm defeats the Bunny. This was fantastic. She's all elite. Very excited that she's here in AEW. She's got a lot of talent. She's an established star. That women's division needs wrestlers who could cut promos and wrestle. Toni Storm could do both. She definitely slimmed down a lot. She definitely looks different than when she was in NXT and in the WWE. She beats the Bunny with Storm Zero to win and qualify for the tournament. So we're going to be seeing a lot more Toni Storm in this Owen Hart tournament for the women. Nyla Rose cuts a promo saying that she was going to fucking destroy Thunder Rosa. So it looks like that's the first challenge for Thunder Rosa. Like I said, this is Booking 101. They already had Hangman fight a big monster. So they're going to put Thunder Rosa and they're going to have her fight a big monster right off the bat. I mean, eventually she's going to end up fighting like a beloved babyface who has some talent and promise. She's going to end up fighting a couple of heels, and then she'll have an actual feud with someone somewhere down the line. Hopefully, she has the scale and notoriety of feuds that Britt Baker had because, not going to lie, there are big shoes to fill with Britt Baker not being the world champion. So, but I think if anyone could fill them, it would be Thunder Rosa. She's more than capable of cementing her own legacy. So, here's to the rest of Thunder Rosa's run. Hoping for and expecting good things. The Rampage lineup for April 1st. What the fuck? All right. It's Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Chris Statlander's cutting a promo. The Young Bucks versus Top Flight. That should be pretty good. And another Owen Hart Foundation tournament qualifier. Jamie Hayter versus Sky Blue. That should be an awesome match. The lineup as it stands right now for Dynamite next week is a tables match, the Hardy versus Butcher and the Blade, and the men and women's Owen Hart tournament qualifiers are also coming up. Main event of the evening was Andrade El Idolo versus Darby Allin. Fantastic match. Obviously, fuckery came into play, which is how Andrade won. Butcher and the Blade came out for the distraction. After that, Sting, I think a bunch of people came out. So Jose came out first. What was this? Yeah, Jose, the assistant, came out, and then Sting beat him up. Then Butcher and the Blade attacked Sting, but Darby took them out with a dive. Then Darby goes back into the ring. Andrade hits a buckle spine buster and hits the El Idolo, which is the double arm DDT for the win. The rest of the AHFO come down to the ring. They beat up Darby and Sting. Private Party comes on down, and the Hardys come out for the save. And freaking Jeff has just been murdering people with these Swanton bombs. I mean, both members of Private Party, he landed right on top of them, dog. He is killing people. He is crushing motherfucking rib cages right now, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, man, Jeff, take it easy with them swantons, bro. You're gonna fucking cave someone's chest in if you keep on doing that shit. But yeah, I mean, that was Dynamite for today. Fantastic show, solid wrestling. Definitely a show I would recommend to everyone watching this week. Just for the quality of the matches alone, was fantastic. Things are obviously moving along and shaking. The Owen Hart tournament is starting to rev its engine and get ready to go. Getting close to another television event with Battle of the Belts 2. And then the actual tournament, Owen Hart tournament, is going to start in almost a little over a month's time. And then the road to Double or Nothing. So the next couple of months are going to be very exciting on the AEW front. Here's to hoping that I do hope to, I say this every week, just giving you guys an update. Yes, the channel is expanding. It just takes time. I am hoping for my co-host challenge to be answered, and Jordan seizes his destiny to join me as one of the greatest New York pro wrestling podcast out there. So yeah, unless you want to ignore destiny, you can do whatever, but otherwise you should be my co-host and join the show. Thank you to everybody in the chat for watching today. Thank you for your participation, the help with finding the dates for Double or Nothing, and all your input as always is appreciated. Next week, more Dynamite. We'll be talking about the stacked Rampage that we'll be having. We should be definitely be keeping track of all of the brackets, letting you know who's qualifying and who's fighting who in the upcoming tournaments. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna sign off for the evening. Thank you all for watching. Continue to stay tuned to the channel for any updates and changes as to what we're going to be doing. But otherwise,